What are the specifications of what it looks like? All that I'm showing you is Tavnis HaMishkan. Is Tavnis Kol Kelov, the form of the Mishkan, the form of the vessels, Chen Tasu. And that's what you should do, Rashi. Chalashni Mara Oscho, Kan, as Tavnis HaMishkan. HaMikra Azeh Mechubed LeMikra Shlemal Mimenu. Osli Migdosh. What kind of Migdosh should you make on my behalf? Chalashni Mara Oscho, as I'm showing you now. Chen Tasu. Chen Tasu, Ledoros. What does that mean? Im Yovad Echad Akelim. One of the vessels should be lost. Shetasli Kli Beis Lomim, or you make the vessels in the Beis Hamikdash. Shulchanois, Noros, Kioros, Shlomo, Kitab Neselu Tasos should be in this form. Lohoya Mikro Alimed Loyo Lo Lichto V'Chein Tasu Elkein Tasu. What's the and? The and connects it to what? V'Yim Daber Lasias Olmo Kelov. It's going back on the whole Mikdash. And once there's the question, the Gemara says in two locations, Eina brocha chal el adova hasomi min ayin. That brocha only comes upon something which is concealed from the eye. For instance, the Gemara says that if a person has a harvest, and before he brings in his harvest, he says, Tefillah, Yirotzon, that the brocha should come upon my harvest, and so on and so forth. It's a valid tefillah. But let's say afterwards he brings in the harvest and he makes an evaluation of what he has, and then he says the bracha should come on the harvest. It's tefillah shov. It's a tefillah in vain. Why? Because once it's quantified, it no longer has relevance to bracha. If it's an unknown entity, an unknown quantity, then the bracha could come about. But if it's a known quantity, bracha cannot. That's the Gemara. Because it says in the Torah, "V'samti l'cho brocha b'asomecho." I will bring brocha in your asomecho means your silo. That's why osam is called osam. You know, osam products in Israel. Okay, asomecho means the silo. I'll bring brocha upon your silo. But that's so. But also the word silo comes from the word samui, like suma. Suma is a blind person. Person is blind is called a suma. So therefore, asomecho. It's only davar asom minayim. So I asked the question. I mean, the greatest bracha comes from the Mishkan, from the Beis Hamikdash. You don't have anything so specific and so detail-oriented like the Beis Hamikdash or like the Mishkan, right? It says, "Avoy lecho v'yirachticha." The whole bracha emanates from there. It's the location of the Shechina, right? So you could say simply that the fact is it's not the Mishkan that the bracha comes. The Mishkan is the location through which the bracha comes. It's the Shechina. Hashem's presence is there. But again, if you have something which is unquantified, Kodesh Baruch Hu, He's infinite, and yet He's in a location that's so specific and so detailed and so the specifications, everything, to the nth degree, in every sense of the word. It's quantified. I understand. So what I said was, in like tefillin, what are tefillin? They have to be square, they have to be black, they have to be in sections. These are all symbolisms. That's all they are. We have an understanding of what it is. They're only representations of something else. A bushel of wheat. What's a bushel of wheat? A bushel of wheat is a bushel of wheat. An ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. So there, once you quantify it, it is quantified. It's already finite. Once something is finite, it has no relevance to bracha any longer. As I once said in the Maral, bracha is something which is spiritual. Spiritual is not finite. But once you quantify, so therefore bracha has no relevance. The Mishkan itself, even though it's finite in its specifications, but in terms of its representation, what is it? It's not quantified. It's an unknown entity. As a result of that, that's why that setting, although it appears to be one thing, but it's not that. Therefore, it has relevance. That's why it's the location of the Shechina. And again, but who set these specifications? HaKadosh Baruch Hu set these specifications because they're all symbolisms. Okay? So that's Osli Migdosh, V'shachanti B'socham. V'osu Aron, that's a Shitim. The Aron should be made of Shitim, I'd say Shitim. Either means cedar wood or acacia wood. Amosai v'chetzi orko, 2.5 amos in its length. Amo v'chetzi orko, rochbo, an am and a half in its width. Amo v'chetzi komoso. So yesterday I mentioned the Balaturim over here, right? Whether it's the width, the length, the width, or the height, it's chetzi. So he said, read it again, called midosov hayushvuros b'chatzo yamos. All the meters are broken. Half amos. L'lamech kol misha lo mitorah tzorch l'shaber l'hashber atzmo. Now, a person that studies Torah, you have to break yourself, meaning you have to always go against your natural tendencies to be able to study Torah. What it means is, like I always used to say, people say, I think I'm a pretty smart guy. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. Where does that come from? Okay? It makes sense. You don't understand. So, tzorach l'shabed midosov. You have to suppress that. All these things that come to mind, or feelings that you have many things, you have to break your midos. That's number one. Secondly, for the person to be the receptacle for Torah, you have to work on your own personal characteristics. The person is corrupted in his behavior or in his values, unethical, immoral, whatever he is. You understand? It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. So you're not the receptacle, right? He's not the base kibul. So therefore, tzorach l'shab midosov, to be able to be the, because again, what is the oron? The oron is not the Torah. The oron is only the receptacle, right? There's luchos. That's the Gemara in Yuma. Kol talmid chochem she'eino tocho k'barei talmid chochem. So what is that? You have to be genuine, fully integrated with what you study, because you can't be the receptacle. Eina termis kemis misha memisatz oleo. That criteria has to be met. It's a prerequisite for Torah. The dedication. Or daito shvelo. Eina termis kemis misha dato shvelo. Right? The Gemara tells over the story with, I would always mention Ral. Ral says something phenomenal. So, see, I get distracted with things. See, those things come to mind. See, Ernie's wearing a black T-shirt this morning. Just came back from Israel. They have one section of the police there. They go with black uniforms. Okay. 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 Seder Maral says there was a Tana. He was one of the Talmidim of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. I haven't been. Okay, guide for flexed. Okay, so everybody has his label. Okay, so the Gemara tells us that Rabbi Shua ben Hananya was an advisor to the emperor, to the Roman emperor. Whenever he'd want to have some level of understanding, he would call him, consult with him. So the Bas Kesar, the daughter of the emperor, says to Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananya, he was ugly as sin. He says, how is it possible that such beautiful wisdom should be contained in such an ugly vessel? Right? It's more in Tainus. So he says to her, she says, the wife says, your father has such precious wine, one of a kind, wine that's fit for an emperor. He says, where does he store the wine? In earthen casks. It should be changed. Tell him everything should be sent into gold and silver casks, not earthenware. So Rabbi Shua gives that advice. So immediately she gives the order. Everything's switched into gold and silver casks. 3 days pass, all the wine sours. The emperor wants to have wine. They say all the wine sour. What happened? Well, the daughter gave the order. Calls his daughter. What happened? Was advised by Rabbi Shua ben Hananya, the great rabbi. He told me that. Calls Rabbi Shua ben Hananya. Shua ben Hananya says, your daughter asked me a question. How is it possible that such beautiful wisdom should be contained in such an ugly vessel? So he says, our Torah is compared to 3 liquids. Wine, water, and milk. He says, what is the difference between an earthen cask and gold and silver? Earth only absorbs. It has no properties of that it gives anything into the wine. Gold has, its properties are precious, have great value. But when those properties intermingle with the wine, it causes the wine to sour. So therefore, when does the wine retain its pristine state if there's no additives into the wine. But if it's gold and silver, whatever the value is, but intermingling with the wine, it causes it to sour. Torah itself is pristine. It's pristine. So therefore, if a person's humble and he doesn't have his own input in the Torah, then what? Then the Torah is pristine. It's God's Torah. But the moment you have your twist and your ego and your genius intermingled with the Torah, you understand? Then it's a problem. It's no longer God's Torah. Then the Torah sours, spoils. It's not. So therefore, that's why it's compared to wine. Okay, that's how the Maral explains the Gemara. Tainus. So what I said was, person gives a shir, ingenious shir. He says, so how did you like it? So you say, you mean, was I impressed with your insight and your genius? I said, if it's what you're saying, I'm not interested. I'm here to study Torah. And if it's what Hashem said, I'm impressed with what Hashem said. You understand? But who said this? Did God say it or you saying it? Ingenious. So aren't you impressed with God? You're impressed that I came upon what Hashem said. Okay, that's one thing. But I should impress with your genius. If it's your genius, it's not the Torah. You understand? And that's exactly what Rabbi Shua, and so Rabbi Shua Hanan said. But she said, but there are other great Torah sages that are not as ugly as you. He says, if they'd be uglier, they'd be greater. Because there's always the ego, which always doesn't allow, that's always the blockage. So there's a story with the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish never spoke publicly. Never gave a public shir. Even though he was the Godel Ador, the Chazon Ish. People come speak to him, consult 2, 3 people. He'd speak and learning with them, but to give a public shir, would not. But Chazon Ish knew everything. And he invested his whole life in Torah. Every ounce of his ability, mental, physical, emotional, was fully invested. There's an old story, Chaim Kanievsky was a nephew of the Chazon Ish. Kanievsky's mother and Chazon Ish were brother and sister. So Chazon Ish never had children. So they lived like in the same courtyard. They were very close. They lived like one family. So when Chaim Kanievsky was a little boy, so Chazon Ish, he would spend sometimes weeks on just one Mishnah. On difficult because he went delve deep and deeper. And he would study with a tune and say the words. So, little children, they jump rope and they have songs, So after a while, they heard it so much. The song for jumping rope was the Mishnah in Orlos. The Mishnah Orlos was the song they would jump rope with. That was the Chazon Ish. So the Chazon Ish was once at a Sheva Brochus, and a person gets up to say a piece of Torah. So what do you say? What can a Torah say with all great Talmidei Chachamim? You're not coming to say something cute. You can say something profound. So this person is dazzling the group with his genius, great Talmid Chacham, and he really was getting mileage on his, on his Dar Torah over here. And he looks at Chazon Ish to get his approval. Chazon Ish just said 2 words. What about what it says in the Mishnah above the Basra? He just said 2 words. That refuted everything you said. You understand? That was the end of his Dvar Torah. Here, people, Chazon Ish was at that level. He pulled the rug from out of him. That was the end of the Dvar Torah. But he was going 100 miles an hour. He was just soaring, this guy, till he deflated his balloon over here. That was the end of it. Okay? So the greater you are, you don't look for that. You don't get distracted with that. My genius, me, I, and that. Okay? Then you stick to the basics. Okay? V'tzipisa also. Zov Tor. You should cast it with pure gold. Mibaysu michutz tzapeno. This is it. Mibaysu michutz, from the inside and from the outside. So Rashi explains there were 3 boxes, right? There were 2 boxes were made of gold and 1 box was made of wood, of acacia wood. V'osisol of zer zov sov. If you should make a rim, a golden rim encircling the top of the Aron. Rashi. Shlosha aronos Osa B'Tzalel. Shnayim Shel Zov, Echot Shel Eitz. Arbok Solim, V'Shulayim Kol Echod, Upsuch L'Malu. Each box had 4 walls, and it had a bottom. And each box was an inlay in the other box. Nosen Shel Eitz B'Soch Shel Zov, so the outer box was the largest box. So the wooden box was placed inside the outer box, the gold box. Shel Zov, and then there was an inner gold box, B'Soch Shel Eitz, that was put into the wooden box. V'chipa sifoso, sfoso elyona, B'Zov, then the edge was covered with gold, so you didn't see the wood. Nimtza b'tzub mai b'chutz, so the way it was put together, it's coated, it's cast from the inside and the outside with gold. Evidently, everything has a symbol, right? What is the symbol of wood, right? Symbolism was Eitz Chaim hi lamachzikim bo. Eitz Chaim hi, it's tree of life. Lamachzikim bo. Gold is what? It's Zov Torah. Gold is always midas adin. Gold is fire. It's midas adin. What's Torah? Torah is emes. Torah does not tolerate anything less than truth. Right? God's signet is truth. What's God's wisdom? Right? Truth. Uncompromising truth. The Maral says that what is emes? What is truth? You got to be truthful with your insurance companies when you write your reports. Otherwise, they don't tolerate it. Right? So what's truth? What about if it's 99.99999% true? Is that truth? So that's the Maral. So the Maral says if you take the aleph represents something infinitesimal. If you remove aleph from emes, what do you have left? Em tov, mace. That's it. Torah has to be unadulterated. It's not working.